Whoa, sit. Sit. High five. Okay, shake. Good, shake. Good, other high five. Yeah. Okay, lay. Right down, right down. Y'all can't see it, but she's doing it. Okay, stand up. Aim's gotten worse with age. Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing great. So my question for today is, do you guys believe in fate? Because this dog came into my life and it was honestly, I can't even say it wasn't fate the way it all happened. But today she's 11 and she's really defeated a lot of odds to be with me today. So I wanted to make today's video all about her for her birthday. So everybody, this is Elsa. She's my chocolate lab. She was born on April 22nd of 2010 and I got her on July 11th of 2010. So of course that makes her 11 years old today, or for you guys, yesterday. And I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about her today. So as a puppy, she absolutely loved blankies. We had these Dollarama blankets that were about 3 feet long, 3 feet wide, and she would just drag them all over the house. She wouldn't sleep without one. She was kind of ridiculous. It was it was actually really cute, but also really ridiculous. But she also loved eating pretty much everything she shouldn't eat because she's a lab and that's kind of what she does. So she ate, I remember having to replace a specific DVD twice, and that was the Killers DVD, so Ashton Kutcher. Yeah, she ate that one twice. So I loved it, but I guess she didn't, or maybe she did and I just misunderstood this entire time. But yeah, so another thing she loved that was kind of a nuisance was socks. So she would steal all of my clean socks. Or dirty. She would take them right out of the laundry basket if she wanted to, and it was really annoying because you could never find matches, and when you did, one of them was always chewed. But then another thing, which I actually have a clip of when she was a puppy, was ice. So I used to give her ice cubes and she'd just chase them around the house and she'd do this little head thing. But yeah, so enjoy that. So now that I've shown you guys a really cute puppy video of Elsa, I really want to tell you guys how this all came to be and why I said it was fate that I have her. So for my 17th birthday, like back when I was probably from like 13 to like past 13. Are you back? Can you sit down? Come on, sit down, let's tell some stories. Come here, come here. There you go, now sit, sit. Oh. Can I tell a story? I'm gonna tell a story about you. All right, so in June of 2010, my mom received a phone call. And basically that phone call was saying, hey, did you call about my chocolate lab puppies? And my mom's like, no, you have the wrong number. But, you know, since you're calling me, just a couple questions, like how much are they? And, you know, how many are available? When are they gonna be ready? We talked about getting a dog for years and years, but we just never had the room. We just never had the space for a dog, and none of us really had the time. So when I was in high school, I was in 11th grade, my mom decided that with all that was going on in my life, because I was going through a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression, and my mom just kind of thought I needed something. And next thing I know, I'm getting a puppy for my birthday, which was pretty cool. He also gave us like $100 off because, I don't know, whatever. He just ended up giving us like $100 off. And yeah, as soon as I found out I was getting her, I went to the pet supply store around the corner. And would you guys believe me if I said that I had my first kiss because of my dog? Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Yeah, so when I went around the corner to the pet supply store, the guy that was working there, well, he and I somehow kind of hit it off. I went there before I had her to get a collar so that when I went and picked her out, I could put a collar on her so they knew which one was mine. And well, he helped me pick out the collar and everything else, and we talked a little bit about the situation. And then once I got her, because I went to the person's house, and well, how I picked her out, I didn't actually pick her out. What I did was, there was 6 puppies, and what I did was I went and I sat in the grass and I just waited. And this one came right over and crawled up in my lap and just took a nap on my arm. So it wasn't even like I claimed her, it was more like she claimed me. So yeah, basically I go to the pet store the next day, and I already have her now, right? So I go in and I take her with me, and the same guy is working, and he's giving me a lot of advice. We're talking about a lot of different stuff. Went to this, like, he went to the same high school as me, but he graduated. So I was a couple years younger than him, but it ended up that he came over to my house. We hung out all afternoon. We went for walks all over town. He even met my dad. Basically, we ended up hanging out for like 3 days, and then he was actually going to a different province because he was going to college. And he literally told me, this is the really, like, the crappiest time to meet you, because he's like, I really like you, but you know, we don't know each other well enough to talk about doing like a long distance relationship. And quite frankly, I was 16 years old at the time, turning 17 in a couple days. But regardless, I was 16 years old, and I kind of didn't want to do a long distance relationship either, especially not with a guy I just met. So he literally came to my house the day before I turned 17, and he kissed me, and then he moved out of the province. So yes, because of my dog, I had my first kiss when I was 16. So after about a year, we had our first big health scare with Elsa. She had actually just started counter surfing, so she was finally tall enough and strong enough to get up with her front paws onto the counter, and she would literally just grab anything she could reach. And she got her paws and her mouth and her teeth on a steak bone. And the steak bone got wedged in her stomach. So she ended up having an infection, and she ended up pooping and peeing blood for probably half a day before we really were like, this is worrying, we need to go get her an x-ray. So I skipped school that day, and I took her to the vet instead of going to school, and turns out that she had a steak bone stuck in her stomach. So they did like a physical maneuver, and then they had to give her antibiotics to get rid of the infection. But they literally told me, if you would have waited another day, this probably would have killed her. So Elsa was really, it was an interesting thing, because my dad and my mom separated when I was really young. Like I was literally 6. Every time I kind of found something that would bring my parents together, it was like a blessing in disguise, right? So, for example, my mom and dad worked opposite shifts at the same place. So if my dad was on day shift and my mom was on afternoons, then my dad would come and take my dog out for a walk or whatever. Or if we went away for any reason, then he would come and take care of Elsa. Same as I took Elsa over there a lot. Like there's a couple nights I spent at my dad's house with Elsa. Like she definitely fit in with the back and forth, even when the back and forth wasn't really happening anymore. By the time I was like 16, I'd basically moved in with my mom just because there's too much hassle at my dad's house for my liking and for my mental health. I had to pick a house, and I chose my mom's. And I think that having the puppy also made that so much easier, because it felt like I had a responsibility there, and I had more of a reason to be there. I didn't feel like I chose to be there, because like, truth being, I would love to have been at my dad's. There was just too much going on that I couldn't be. It was all just a mental decision. But anyway, moving on. So let's move forward to 2012, 2013, when we moved here. Elsa found herself a whole mess of new adventures and ways to get herself in trouble. For example, she picked up a dead squirrel. She's picked up an old syringe. She got sprayed by her first skunk. She's even fought off a coyote. I was walking her one night. It was probably like November, and I was in university, so it was probably like 2013. And we were walking down the street, and literally a coyote just walks right out of like the co-op building, walks right out right in front of me, and Elsa and it like tapped noses, and then Elsa like lunged at it and snarled, and it took off. But that was really, really scary. And I honestly can say, like, if a coyote would even come out like that, then if Elsa wasn't there, I don't even know what it would have done to me. Like, I don't know why it would have come out in the first place. I've had people say maybe it was in heat. I've had people say maybe it was sick. Everyone says that they don't just come out like that for no reason. And so it is weird, but the fact that Elsa was there was probably a very, very good thing. So then obviously we went through a lot of stuff, you know. She's learned fire etiquette because we have a fire pit in the backyard. She's learned how to deal with stray cats because we've rescued 2 in her lifetime. She's welcomed a baby. She's been around a baby, and she's an amazing dog, especially when that baby is throwing food at her and she's cleaning it up. That's always a bonus, to not have to clean the floors every day. If you've ever had a kid, you know exactly what I mean. But then in 2019, she was attacked by another dog. And we honestly thought that that was going to be the end for her. This was a bull mastiff, and it was strong enough that it picked her up by the spine off the ground and put her back down. And it was a long, I mean, she's still not back to good health after that. She's pretty much gonna be on medication for life after that. But she ended up having severe puncture wounds in her back. She didn't need stitches, but an infection did set in. We did have her on antibiotics right after it happened. And then about a year later, so last June-ish, July, we thought we were saying goodbye to her because, well, she was 10 and she was at the point where she wouldn't get up. She wouldn't go up the stairs. She wouldn't eat. She wouldn't drink. And we were honestly pretty sure that we were going to be saying goodbye to her at that point. This is my pupper, Elsa. She's 10 and she doesn't feel good today. Luckily, our vet has always been basically on call for us. He will answer our calls either at his home or his office anytime we call. Holidays, whatever it is, he's always been there. And so when we had suspicions about Elsa being sick again, he took her in right away. We drive an hour for this vet because he is so good. He is so good. We ended up taking her in, and he diagnosed her to have severe infection on her spine. Apparently the antibiotics she was on in 2019 weren't actually strong enough to kick the infection like we thought it was, and it went unnoticed until it was so bad that she couldn't walk anymore. And the infection set in really, like, once it started to get bad, it got bad really fast. So he put her on more antibiotics, and then he put her on, we had to do spinal adjustments. So she basically had like 6 chiropractic treatments. Arthritis has now set into her back where she was attacked. So she's on a medication for that, and that'll be daily for the rest of her life. Honestly, Elsa hitting 11 was like the happiest, shocking surprise ever, because she's a very smart, very lovable and loving dog. But she's definitely been able to find her way into some tricky situations more often than once, from stepping on something and getting infection in her paws to her allergy to ragweed. So she gets like tea soaks in the middle of the summer. Like I said, sprayed by a skunk. But then this dog also has like a major sweet tooth. I'm talking like she will tear open the garbage bag to find one Skittle. She will rip open cupboards to find a bag of chips, which isn't really a sweet thing, but she loves her junk food. But yeah, so today is her 11th birthday. I'm super happy that I can actually say that, because if you would have asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I honestly don't think I would have thought she would have made it this long. I'm really excited. I'm hoping she's got 11 more years in her. Hopefully we'll continue to have experiences, and I'm just so happy that she's made it to the age she is. She's definitely had a really long road. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And once again, this is Elsa, and happy birthday, pretty girl. All right, I'm gonna go get this one to bed before she barks her head off. Bye.